Hey, how's it going? It's nice to see you again. I'm in a bit of a weird time in my life right now. It's a massive transitional period, and I have this reoccurring thought that seems to pervert every waking moment. Why am I not making anything? It's usually the first thought I have as I start my day, and unfortunately, as I lay awake staring at the ceiling, it's usually my last. But if this thought is so consistent, then why don't I have an answer? I love making things, and when I don't, I get sad. So surely knowing all of this and dedicating all of my time and energy into fixing this problem would net me at least some progress. But it hasn't. I've been sinking further down into the rabbit hole of despair, self-doubt, and self-loathing. I can't make anything, for I've lost meaning. And after the fact, I'm just a little depressed. I think being a creative is a vicious cycle where in the span of a single project, you can feel the whole gamut of possible emotions, from the obsessive excitement that comes from idea inception to the crippling fear of failure, from the euphoric joy that comes from cutting that big red ribbon at the end, to the creeping doubt that always takes excitement's place on the table. And if creativity is a feast where all emotions are present, then I'm the malnourished servant left to clean up the dishes. And it's exhausting. I feel terrible. I have no ideas, and I feel like I'll never have another good one. That I'm some fraud masquerading as a writer, as a musician, and as a filmmaker. And even when I know that's not true, that I'm not a charlatan, that thought still dominates my psyche. Because as it stands, as I currently work on nothing, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The less I write, the truer the fear. I worked on my script, Quiet Keeping, for 3 years. The idea came in April of 2020, after I read Emily St. John Mandel's book, Station 11. Hers is a story of how the world ends, and how people find meaning afterwards. But despite it being a deeply apocalyptic story, I find it to be one of the most ruthlessly optimistic pieces of literature I know of. And as I sat in the spring garden of my childhood home, finishing the book and my drink, mourning the loss of meaning of my former life, of my childhood dog just a month prior, and of my sanity the year before, that's when the idea hit. In the depths of indecisiveness. But now that idea's gone. It's finished. All 140 pages of it. And I vividly remember the feeling of the idea springing its first roots, that feeling of adventure. Have you ever had a hard time falling asleep the night before a big holiday? Because that's the excitement of an idea about to be realized. I pine for that excitement now. I yearn for the return of passion that creativity allots me. And to answer the question why I haven't made anything lately, too scared and tired. I'm fearful that my work will go nowhere. I'm too exhausted to find the courage to combat these insecurities that I battle. My screenwriting professor, upon hearing the news that I've completed my script, said, "Congratulations, you'll send it out, nobody will buy it, they'll ask you, what else have you written? And then you'll present them with what else you have written. Have you written anything else?" Could you begin to assume my answer? No! I sunk 3 years of my life into this project for it to inevitably end up in the stomach of infinite content, reducing thinner and thinner until it's indistinguishable from all the other stomach bile, lost in the sea of other dissolutions. And that's just one piece of the crippling dread. What of the incoming AI onslaught? Half a decade ago, I decided to get my degree in a profession that I thought couldn't be replaced by automation. And in 2023, that seems a very silly thing to think. I was wrong. My potential career as a writer is in jeopardy. And as of today, the WGA strikes and pickets outside of major studios for this exact reason. Writers are getting shafted, as they always have, and I fear that it'll be worse than in 2007. I'm also a musician, which right now seems like a foolish endeavor as well, but I'm worried. Of course, there will be the select few that maintain their jobs as writers and creatives, and they'll exist in the upper echelon of Hollywood, in literature, in art. But what about the rest of us? So why do I still continue to write despite all of this? It's nearly hopeless, right? Why do I work in a dying medium? My screenwriting professor is thinking about pivoting to teaching TV because nobody watches movies. And so then why do I spend 3 years of my life on a script only for it to be dismissed in seconds? Well, why do we do anything? Because it's wonderful. Because it's adventurous. Because making and doing and being alive, well, that's life. And what is a survivor to do in an apocalypse? Do they abandon themselves and let the world devour them? A coward, perhaps, but we're not cowards. We live for more. We're the ones who travel the barren landscape, performing Shakespeare to local towns, to survivors who are here with us. It is true, I'm empty today. I have lost their northern star. But tomorrow, I'll search for it. And I will welcome the adventure that being alive, being a creative brings to one's life. I mean, that's what we all wish we could do on a daily basis, is to live a life with purpose, and making things brings a little bit of that purpose closer to home. Creating gives me meaning, and when I'm at the end of my projects, I lose that. Meaning is the work itself, much like life is the current moment. Life isn't the future. It's not the money or the job promotion or an eventual wedding or the things that you look forward to. Conversely, life isn't the past. It's not the pain suffered or the mistakes dwelled on or the things that you regret. Life is now, the present, and that's all it is and all it will ever be. The meaning in my life doesn't come from my accomplishments after finishing a project or the pride I feel. Those are as intangible as the wind. My meaning comes from the aimless nights of trying to figure out the puzzle of scene structure, from the elusive assembly of a catchy melody, from the time I've spent in the weeds of creation. That's my meaning. As life grows in complexity, it seems more intent on robbing us of our meaning. It alienates us from our communities, polarizing me from you. It replaces our purpose with automation and leaves us adrift from trades once sustainable. It conquers our joy and displaces us all. We spiral into an uncertain fate of capitalistic oblivion. And what do we do in all the chaos? What do we do when we have nothing? Well, we make something. We can rein that chaos in and orchestrate order out of it. Rome wasn't built in a day, despite the history books leading you to believe that it's always existed. You should take those feelings of alienation, of despair, of loneliness, and put them into a work. Because maybe someone will relate to them. Maybe they won't just dissolve into stomach bile. And maybe, just maybe, you'll inspire someone. Even if that someone's you. I felt terrible. It was an aimless depression. But then I wrote this script. I played a couple shows. I went to my university's film festival and shared my art with people. I recognize this is a privilege. Not everybody has the opportunity to sit around thinking and making things. But my hope, my very naive and foolishly optimistic hope, is that when confronted with the destruction of our livelihoods as we know them, we will instead fill our time not with tireless, monotonous, and meaningless work, but with what brings us purpose and direction and joy. What did our ancestors on the plains do when they had their food needs met? They painted in caves. They made sense of the chaos. We too live in that same chaos, although it takes a different shape. The future for them was just as vast and alien as it is for us, because we are those people. It's not some faceless overlord that dictates our future. It's us. The reality of the future will be just like life itself, both good and bad. Take splitting the atom for an example. It's led to unfathomable levels of destruction on this planet, but it's also created the energy that we need to sustain ourselves as a species. AI will be just like that, both good and bad. And trying to see the good in things, perhaps AI can be the hunters and gatherers of our clan, and we the cave painters. Now, as for writing as a profession, Well, I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't a little worried. But that worry is dissipated with one simple proof. We need human connection. I mean, that's what this is all about. There will always be a place for AI entertainment. I envision a world where you can custom tailor content to your preferences at the click of a button and have it auto-generate for you. And in this world, although I'm not a fan, there will still be a place for human stories and human connections, as there always will be. That'll only go away when humanity itself ends. But until then, there's an infinite amount of stories left to tell. In the cosmic scale of life, these times are mere stones in the vast ocean. They will be shaped by the currents of time. And this is a transition. Although these growing pains are excruciating and often more immediate than they need to be, the human spirit prevails. We'll be okay. And I truly believe that. Because on average, we're builders, not destroyers. We make because we can. We make because it brings order to this disorder. I haven't yet come up with the idea for my next screenplay, but I feel it coming on. I think the ideas themselves come from the answer to why I haven't been making anything lately, and that's because I have no meaning. I have no direction. And thus, I have the freedom to assign myself one. And so, what is the meaning to my life, the meaning to life in general? I think it's to live. So let's live, shall we? Let's make something. Thank you so much for watching. I deeply value your time, as it's as immense a gift as one could give. And I hope you found some value in this video. Sorry, I'm just reading off my scripts now. I've memorized the whole bit, but not the end. So I'm just gonna read you these words that I think are silly. I hope you're able to break from whatever rut you may be facing. I hope you share your work, because it's awesome. You're awesome. Is it weird to tell a stranger that you'll never see you love them? Absolutely. But I am strange. I am weird. And I love you. So wherever you are, whoever you are, take care of yourself, okay? And maybe go make something. I want to see it. Okay, that's all. Take care now.